And we're back with our spoiler talk on A Silent Voice.
I am going to vocalize what we're all thinking, but the way that this movie is designed, the reason why Nick Nack said that he preferred the dub is because the main crux of this movie is interaction with a deaf character, and it makes more of an emotional impact being able to hear, see, and understand without having to read subtitles. It makes it more impactful that the only things we have to read are what the characters have to read that she's written in her notebook. Everything else we are hearing one for one. We are seeing people make signs and speak along with them. We are hearing her attempt to speak English, even though she's never heard it spoken properly before. And that's what makes it good to watch in dub. Like, you should watch this in whatever language is your closest to your native language, if not your native language, if it's available.
Yeah, I think this movie actually comes in more languages than English and Japanese.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that the entire movie is designed is meant to be an experience for the viewer as well. Like, you are interacting with a deaf character, since you're getting some POV shots from all different characters, and you are reading the notebook like all the other characters are reading, and you are hearing her talk like all the other characters are hearing her talk.
And when she signs, like, there are times where you don't understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
You have to pick it up. There was...
Or times when she tries to speak in English and you just don't quite understand.
There was one point. Do you mind if I jump really far ahead?
I don't really think it matters.
It doesn't really
Okay.
matter where we jump to at this point.
So there was a point towards the end where I was like, oh shit. Because this entire movie, they're making a specific sign for see you later.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're saying their goodbyes at the festival with the fireworks, main character guy says see you later. She gives a different sign for goodbye that he doesn't quite catch the connotation of.
Yeah.
And that, like, it was probably still goodbye, but it was probably...
But it was a different type
It was
of
more.
goodbye.
It was more of a like. This is the final goodbye,
Like
farewell,
Yeah. But him not knowing sign language
as well.
you aren't given that subtitle.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to assume that she's saying goodbye.
To be fair,
Or see
we
you
are
later.
not given subtitles for any
No.
of the signs in this
Yeah.
movie if you watch it without subtitles enabled.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you enabled subtitles in the movie, it would give us like full subtitling.
I don't know that it would.
No, it actually didn't, because I watched the sub for this and it didn't.
No,
give
but if you were watching the dub with subs enabled,
maybe
because
but-
I've seen a few other movies that have dealt with like deaf and mute characters, and sometimes the English subs will include little addendums to like sign reads.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's possible, but we would have had to have turned the subtitles on.
Yeah, and we
but,
didn't.
And we didn't.
But
So.
the speaking of what's trying to be conveyed to the audience, the sound design of the movie goes with what's being conveyed to us. Like, we are experiencing crescendoing sound, overwhelming, like the sound of people talking, moments of pure silence, you know, like loud noises out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there was one other thing that was covered in the film, although a lot less than the aspect of the main
Anxiety and depression.
social anxiety, depression, and that not being able to make eye contact.
The
with
pen
people.
clicking.
Yeah.
Oh God, I do that every day in class, constantly, all the time.
It's so relieving.
I'm pretty sure that main character is supposed to be either ADHD or neurodivergent or on the spectrum, somewhere along that line, because
I think
those are very...
I think it's supposed to be anxiety.
Yeah.
Like an anxiety stress reaction, because even at the beginning he's clicking his
Yeah.
pen when he's having flashbacks to being pushed into the
water.
river
Yeah.
and being bullied
Mhm.
himself, because he himself is bullied before the movie starts. I think it's anxiety. I don't think it's necessarily a neurodivergent coding for him.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to portray that he always had anxiety,
Yeah.
but the depression came on later.
Yeah. That he was always because even when he was a kid, he was still like clicking his
Mhm.
pencil and letting the lead spill out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, even when he was young, he still kind of had that anxiety in him. It was just that as he got bullied, that also developed into a more severe form of anxiety and then depression.
Well, the main reason why I brought the neurodivergent wasn't the pen clicking, it was the X's over everyone's eyes. You can't make eye contact.
I think that was the social anxiety and the depression because that didn't
But that's-
develop until after.
That is a common thing with people who have Asperger's or autism that they can't make eye contact.
Yes,
True, but he
it's-
wasn't. But that would have been something that they would have had to portray in some way when he was a child as well, and they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. They
They
only
didn't give
they
him a
only
nerve.
betrayed it.
They didn't give him what could be like associated as a neurodivergent coding like that until after. I think if they'd included some of that before, then that would have been a continuous line. But I think he is a little too just anxious as a kid. I mean, I'd have to like read over the character descriptions because maybe we're missing something in the translation. But I think to me as a kid, it just came off as him being anxious, because he was bullied. And then that developed into something else, which would insinuate some sort of anxiety, not something like Asperger's. Because the not wanting to look people in the eye, that can be a result of anxiety as well.
Yeah.
Although I do certainly think that there are characters in this movie who are coded differently, which is nice.
Yeah.
I thought there were lesbians in this movie.
We thought
Yeah,
we
I thought wrong.
T.H.E was betrayed.
That's because anime freaking women and men and all
Age.
Very
don't
con-
fucking
Age,
work.
huh?
I mean, it was very confusing until the end there when we finally figured out what was actually going on there.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
think
what it is.
you can have multiple different readings of that main character. They don't outright say what's going on with him for much of the film.
Yeah. But they at least give you like as much as you really need to know about him to really understand his condition, I feel. At the very least, even if you have a different interpretation of how it's working exactly, you at least understand like the reasoning behind the way he views things, even if it's not immediately outright explained to you what's going on with him. So he's probably one of the best like characters, at least as far as like things go, like at least as far as like redemption arcs, if you want to call it that, with this one, because this movie honestly also feels like one big redemption arc for a lot of the characters, not all of them.
I don't know if I'd say redemption.
I don't think it's a redemption arc.
I think it's a moving on sort of thing.
It's a living
Yeah.
word for regrets, I think, more like it, but yeah.
Because while there is that main character does get an "I'm sorry" moment, there's never quite. I guess I don't know. Redemption feels kind of loaded.
Would it help for me to give you the theme based off of what this was based on and what the director said?
Probably,
Sure.
because I haven't read this.
So this is based off the manga of the same name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Covers most of the original plot. However, the biggest part of the film tackles handling guilt within a community, redemption for mistakes of the past, and forgiveness and self-respect.
So redemption.
Bullying is not the central theme of the film, but rather simply a means to explore the way that Shoya's personality changes as he ages.
Yeah. But so redemption is one of the themes that is covered in it, but maybe in a different way. Yeah.
It's
Says-
not your Darth Vader gets redeemed at the end of the Death Star kind of. It's a different type of
No, it's
redemption.
a different kind of redemption.
Mhm.
Not one that's not, like you said, not as loaded. Like not as like hard, like not as like hard as you said. Well, Darth Vader, basically, like that kind of redemption arc or whatever.
I will say there is something none of us picked up on that apparently was incredibly deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
They were using flower language, Japanese flower language throughout the whole film.
I think that would have been more easy to understand if you
If
were
you
actually,
knew
if
Japanese
you knew
flower
Japanese,
But
and
yeah.
and if you were also watching this in the sub, because like I said, there were a lot of Japanese-isms. I didn't
Yeah.
understand the flower language even when I did watch the sub, but I also don't know Japanese
Yeah.
flower language. So
And then the koi and the fireworks were also both
yeah.
specifically symbolic of certain things.
Figured there was something thematic going on with those fireworks because the movie does open with the fireworks keeping him from jumping,
Oh.
and then when she's ready to jump, the fireworks are sort of what brings on that emotional moment for her.
Yeah, fireworks are a metaphor for the transience of a single moment of life.
Yeah.
Both scenes with fireworks anticipate the suicide attempts of the protagonist, reminding them of their helplessness. Fun fact, that opening song, it's called My Generation by The Who, and it is used specifically, not those Who, different Who, used specifically to express the theme of teenage rebellion and angst.
Ah.
I mean, that's quite correct, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Even in this age.
Yes.
Transparent.
Absolutely fascinating.
I mean, we've talked a little bit about the main character and the deaf girl. Does anyone want to talk about any of the supporting cast?
Oh.
That teacher was an ass.
Oh, yes.
So, fun fact. That's actually that's part of one of the things that the movie deals with, right? And it said bullying is presented intuitively in sequences to be depicted as collective failure, starting from school managers and teachers, then moving down to the classroom community.
Yeah.
Which was very clear.
We really caught on to that, though. Like,
Oh, yeah, because it was very obvious with the teacher.
Yeah, the teacher was very much... we were talking about it while we were watching the movie, but the teacher at the beginning was an absolute, asshole. He did not step in to, stop what any of the kids were doing to show them.
Essentially, this teacher saw that, the group of kids and then the class as a whole was consistently making fun of, bullying, and treating the deaf girl badly.
His only response was a very mild cut it out.
Yeah, he's cut it out, but he never actually stopped them. And then when it finally came to a head and the principal came in, he waits while the classroom is silent, and then he calls out one student who, sure, by all intents and purposes, was the perpetrator of the worst and most
he should have been
physical
called out
cases.
the
But he calls out only him in a room full of people, and then when he stands up and he accuses some of the other kids who also participated, one of them cries crocodile tears, the rest deny it, and the teacher doesn't speak up to say, no, it was all of you, or this is a class problem. He just lets the one student suffer the burden, and then, rather than dealing with it and turning it into a teaching moment, he takes it and then he lets the rest. It's almost like it's almost like he wants the classroom to regulate itself, so he calls out the one student who was the worst, turning the rest of the class on them, which stops them from acting out, but the rest of the class is essentially given a free sanction to treat him like shit, which is not good for anyone. I mean, as it says, the fucking it's the effect on an adolescent's psyche and resilience.
Yeah.
Like how those sort of things can fuck with a child's head.
Yeah.
Right? Because the teacher let him get away with it for so long, so he didn't think he was doing anything wrong because he didn't really get reprimanded for it. He never got in trouble for it. And then when he did, rather than learn a lesson, instead everyone turns on him.
Yeah.
And he's forced to endure years of bullying.
He loses all the friends that he had, and then also simultaneously becomes the target of bullying in this case.
And it follows him through middle school and into high school, which is excessive by all means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, incredibly excessive. So, yeah.
I mean, granted, he was a shitty little kid, but he was a fucking 6th grader, and no one taught him better.
When everything started, we kind of were all like, okay, yeah, kids are kind of shitty. And they're like, wait, that teacher's not speaking up.
No one taught him any better. It doesn't absolve him of the fact that he did shitty, terrible things. But at the same time, is it entirely his fault if he was never told better?
Yeah.
In a constructive and teaching way.
But then he kind of, you get an idea of, you see very quickly that his mother, as soon as she finds out, she, gets on him about it. And he, even when he was still being a little shit, you could see the gears starting to turn in his head.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't turn healthy immediately.
Yeah.
But the problem is, at that point, the bullying had turned in on him.
Yeah.
And any realization he may have had about his own
fuck
up would have been just reinforced by the bullying to the point where he's led to the thought of committing suicide.
Yeah.
Essentially, I pay my mother back for everything that she did for me due to my actions.
Yeah.
And then I won't be a problem anymore.
Yeah.
But we see that the mother stepping in is, at least it seems to be, the fact that his mother found out and stepped in seems to be the difference between him and you see some of the other classmates as well that were involved in this, and they definitely don't change as much as he did in that time period.
Like he as a main
But-
character, like.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. What were you gonna
But
say?
the other classmates also didn't get a call home from the principal
Yeah.
to their
Yeah.
parents about having to pay the equivalent of approximately $18,000 for hearing aids for a deaf girl that they destroyed. So is it that his classmates didn't change, or were they not given the same option
No, it wasn't.
and force
Yeah.
of change that he was?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say it's their parents' fault, because their parents probably never found out about it.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't.
Yeah, their
As a
parent.
matter of fact.
Yeah, like their parents probably never even knew that this was a thing, and
Yeah.
life just kind of moved on for them, and they never had to change from it, and some of them got even arguably worse for it.
It's not until you get to that modern day point where they start having that opportunity to change.
Mhm.
Yeah, until like, which is really
Because
high
there were no
school for a lot.
consequences for their actions.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. When you
I
get
have to wonder if he'd succeeded in killing himself, would they have changed?
Probably
No,
not.
probably
Most of them
not.
wouldn't have met each other.
yeah, they wouldn't have
No,
met.
the original friend group. The black-haired girl, the blonde-haired girl,
I
and the two
don't think
boys.
They probably wouldn't have. They probably would never have really known anything, and
Yeah.
they probably wouldn't have cared. They probably would have just thought it was a tragedy at that point, and then moved on with their lives.
We actually see one of the friends that bullied him after I forget her name. We just watched
The black-haired, was
Yeah.
it the black-haired girl?
No, the guy that he tried
Yeah,
that she
the guy.
tried to not introduce him to, reunite him with at the
Yeah, the
Oh, the
blonde-haired
blonde-haired,
dude.
Yeah.
the blonde-haired
Yeah.
guy. The
and
blonde-haired
like he
guy,
just
yeah.
kind of was like, you shouldn't have brought him here.
Mhm.
Like he didn't make any attempt to try reconcile,
Yeah.
But I think
and he didn't need to. She should not have brought him when he
No.
wasn't ready.
But I think that his commentary about her not getting involved was more that it wasn't her business. It was
Yeah.
his.
Yeah.
But it didn't sound like he meant I didn't do anything wrong. It sounded like he meant more I don't need your help to deal with this. I'll do it or I won't on my own time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is
Like, I feel like he knew
this, like,
what he did in the end.
Yeah, like he knew what he
Yeah.
It didn't sound like the tone that he was giving. It was more like he was irritated with her than he
Mhm.
was
For
with.
stepping in.
Yeah,
Not for someone of accusing him of something he didn't believe he did.
yeah,
But I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm a little biased, but I think with the exception of the blonde girl, they all understood by the end of
Yeah.
the film
yeah,
what they'd done.
yeah.
Oh,
Now, crocodile tear, bitch.
yeah.
God, I've never hated a character more in my life.
Holy complex, you said it was, right?
The boyfriend's
Yeah,
at least
holier
nice.
than thou. Oh my god.
Holier
Boyfriend
than-
was barely a character.
Yeah.
That boy.
Is he her boyfriend or are they
Yeah,
just friends?
that was
Boyfriend for sure?
that was her boyfriend.
No, so the blonde bitch, so she did participate in the bullying, you know, she thought it was funny, she clapped along, she joined in, and then when he accuses her as a child, she cries crocodile tears about how she never would have done anything behind her back, and then she keeps that up through the whole fucking movie when we literally saw her doing shit, like, and no one calls her out on this.
Well, except for the main
Except for the main
scene.
character. And then she cries crocodile tears again.
Yeah,
I think the problem is when you get into that arc, it's kind of hard to bring someone back from that, because how do you portray that without the...
No, and she tries to excuse herself. She's like, I was just so scared. I didn't want to go against you. Holy fucking shit. So if I jump off a bridge, you'll follow me, right? Good, I hope you don't know how to swim. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. She's such a terrible person.
She only gets away with it on a story level because she is a terrible person. She did do a lot of that and never really gets that that fessing up moment to it. But at the same time, a lot of what she did, objectively speaking, wasn't as bad as what the main character did as a kid.
It
or
wasn't the
what
worst,
the
but
black
it's-
hair
it
girl
wasn't.
did.
Yeah,
It was the worst, but it's the lack of remorse.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost worse that in the end she never apologized.
Mm-hmm.
She never fessed up. She never admitted it, even to herself, that we're shown. Like, she fully maintained that she was the victim in this situation.
That said, you said this was a manga, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does have an
I have
original
a
manga.
feeling that was a plot element that was maybe expanded. Because if this is a full, like, long-running series, I have a feeling that she's probably doing more
How many
characterization
volumes is the manga, actually?
there. Yeah.
Let's see. I gotta find because it's not. Hold on.
It might be,
Alright,
the
manga
manga's
of
name
this-
might be slightly different.
No,
because-
it's a manga of the same name. Here it
okay.
is. A Silent Voice. It was 7 volumes. Yeah, 7 volumes.
So they probably cut a little bit, and I have a feeling because she was not a very important character. She and her boyfriend were not crazy important in the end.
Yeah.
No, they really weren't. They were just extras that were added in at that point.
I have a feeling that was probably a victim of the adaptation, but I don't know. I've never read the manga. That's just speculation.
I might read it. It's relatively short, only 7 volumes, so it probably covers pretty similar points of the actual film. But yeah. Oh yeah. Honestly, though, I will. Even though I probably could have said this in spoiler free, but I'll just say it now. When I first saw the part or the thing of this movie, or when I saw like the opening card for this movie, I thought that this was going to be a romance movie. Not exactly what I was going for when I watched it.
Yeah, it wasn't quite.
No,
There
it
were
really-
elements.
There were
moments, but it's not a romance.
Yeah, it's not ultimately that, but going into this, I was expecting to get a romance show. Instead, I got emotional.
So you mind if I spill a little on the manga?
Sure.
So we're gonna spill some tea on the manga here. So I found the character on the manga description of her. Nicknamed Kawaiichi, Kawai is the school representative. She is popular and normally takes charge of things. She has a kind facade and is secretly intensely a narcissist, believing that everyone should love her and wants to be the victim in every problem she faces. Though she does not directly bully Shoko, she does nothing to intervene and laughs along with her friends, leads the class in scapegoating Shoya, and leads to his isolation. Then she joins his friend group again, bringing another person, and instead of facing it, she once again uses him as a scapegoat and plays the victim, leading to another falling out of his new friend group. And then the classmates apparently rebound on her and become disgusted and bully her when she suggests making paper cranes. And then she's like, oh, I should be a little bit more empathetic.
So she does get more of a moment and more of an arc. in the manga.
Yeah. It would have been. They didn't have time to tuck it into
No.
the end of the movie there. But
No, because they were already pushing the 2-hour
yeah.
mark with the movie right there, so they did not have time to push that little section, that little tidbit.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with her showing the cranes in there was meant to be like the little bit that they didn't get to actually cover in the movie.
yeah,
So yeah, that
Jesus.
was what it meant. But yeah, you were absolutely right. She's just a full blown narcissist.
hmm
Yeah.
Jesus. Apparently, she ends up going into teaching.
Wow.
Look, I don't know how successful her arc is by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we probably should talk about the mothers.
The mothers were great.
love the mothers.
Yeah, the mothers were great.
Yeah.
The best character development is the deaf girl's mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that was like probably my favorite character development in this movie. Just like, I mean, they were
Just spoiling all sorts of stuff for myself. Holy shit!
Why
this
don't we
manga's
save
deep.
this for the free talk?
save this for
here?
free talk. Yeah, we're still in story and characters.
Yeah.
Am I sensing an off the shelf coming?
Definitely.
I mean, this is a
Okay.
very short off the shelf. I might join for this one. We'll see.
But the mothers were wonderful. They both have like their character development is so subtle in this film, but it's really.
Yeah. They are great. They are great in this show, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. But I can kind of understand like this as far as them, because since they're the adults of this show, like they kind of understand, at least somewhat like indirectly, but they kind of more so show us this, that they understand that life is hard, really, already. So they've probably been through that point in their lives at some point, and they understand like how difficult it is. So you just kind of get that perspective from them. Yeah. So because based on the fact that main character Kun's mother or main character Kun's father's not in the picture here, we don't get any word on what exactly happened to his father. But it's, if anything's to go by, it could be that he just kind of ghosted her potentially.
It could be ghosted. It could be passed away.
Yeah, there are two.
There's different.
There's
ways
different
that-
ways you can. There's different ways you can interpret it. There's.
I'm sure the
Yeah.
manga actually probably covers that too.
Yeah.
That feels like a normal slice of life.
Yeah. This
plot
feels
point.
like this could have been covered in like a chapter within the manga, but something that we don't get really context for, so you're kind of left to guess as far as it goes. But you kind of get that she understands how hard it is when you're in like the end stretch of the movie where main character Kun is in the hospital and she has the one-on-one with Shoko, the deaf girl. So
Yeah.
Speaking
all
of-
the female characters almost. Well, except blonde girl.
Speaking of side characters, we were all wrong. He's not black.
Oh,
He's Brazilian. His name is Pedro.
I love Pedro.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I probably picked the mic.
Also, there are people upstairs sleeping.
That's true.
so
But yeah, his name is Pedro.
we were very shocked at the reveal of the father of his niece.
Yeah,
Niece.
that would be his niece actually.
But we're forgetting about like the best characters in this film.
Oh my
The
fucking
wingman.
god, yes.
Oh,
The wingman.
Yeah, the wingman. fucking, he pulls the French fry out like it's a fucking cigarette. He dipped it in the ketchup. I mean,
Tomohiro.
yeah, Tomohiro, my man's a real G.
Love him.
And then there's
He was quoting like a full ass movie scene there. I don't know what it's from.
No.
I think it's from one of those old mafia movies though.
Yeah.
You know?
probably.
That's what it looked like. But
Yeah.
I know the quote, but I can't remember what the movie's from.
Maybe it's from The Godfather.
No, genuinely, that was my first thought.
Yeah,
Like it could be.
yeah.
And
He
then
also like put on the voice actor put on a little accent. It was really good.
Yeah, he that scene was absolutely hilarious. I love that guy. Like he was definitely the comic relief of this movie, and it was good that they used him when they needed it because man, sometimes you need comic relief in this
Also,
movie.
can we talk about the fact that the younger sister got into photography and was photographing dead things, and then it's revealed at the end that she was doing that so her sister could see what death was and then not want to die because she didn't know a better way?
that felt like it was more of a character
What
arc
the
at some point.
fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even realize because most of the photos just blend into the background, but basically their house was just plastered in photos of dead things.
Yeah, dead things. Like you got a picture like a dead frog. It's
Yeah, dead bugs.
Yeah, many different dead bugs.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, but she was a nice character. I actually did.
Yeah.
I did enjoy her character as well. She comes off as a little bit abrasive in the beginning towards a main character, understandably so, since since at this point Shoko doesn't really have that many friends or any to speak of really at this point. She's very suspicious of him, and especially because of the way she was treated in the past. So it's understandable that she kind of gives him the stink eye when they first meet and everything. Eventually, she kind of warms up to him and everything. But yeah, Yuzu's a great character. I like Yuzu. Also with wingman guy just learning the first time that that's actually a girl. Just gonna back up a respectable distance. Just gonna run away.
We are going a bit long, the two, so do we want to go into waifu wars?
I don't really have a waifu for this show. I'm not gonna
Waifu
look.
wars.
Waifu
wars.
Waifu wars.
Knick-knack.
Main character guy's mother.
All right,
Vorn.
Black hair girl. Mostly because she went to dark side and
Realm.
embraced it.
Pedro.
Pedro.
Pedro. Yeah, Pedro.
My waifu is Pedro.
Oh wait, we forgot about the most impressive plot point.
Huh?
The accidental burning of about $150,000.
17,000.
17,000.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Just burned to dust. That brought me great sadness.
God. That hurt me.
That hurts so
Main character's
much.
mother's like, you better not kill yourself or I'm burning this fucking money.
And then he agrees not to kill himself, and she burns it anyways. Giga Chad status right there.
Considering like that's all the money he actually had from selling everything he had right there,
All his comics, all his even his bed.
and his clothes right there.
Yeah.
And any money he saved up from his job.
Mhm.
Oof.
Yeah.
I think we need to move on to free talk at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time, guys. Try harder. Remember to like, comment, subscribe.